Here live, Radio Row, Super Bowl 48 in New York. Seattle Seahawks going up against the Denver Broncos, and we ran into Bryant McKinnie, formerly of the Miami Dolphins, a free agent this year. Bryant, Zach Gelb here, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. How are you?
Okay, pretty good.
Well, we appreciate a few minutes today, and there's a lot of talk this year about what went on inside the Miami Dolphins locker room with Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin. As a player that was in it this year, was that at all a distraction at times, and what's the culture like in an NFL locker room, especially the Miami Dolphins?
I mean, you have a group of guys that are in the locker room. You have music playing. You just have people talking and socializing. It's not that bad, like, you know what I mean? The way they portrayed it, like it's just like something crazy going on. I kind of didn't understand the whole issue. I mean, I was there when, I guess, the initial part where he actually kind of snapped or whatever, but I didn't see all this coming from it. But it's not that bad. You know what I mean? I just think it was something that got kind of blown out. I think somebody walked out the locker room and kind of realized they made a mistake and didn't know how to cover, the mistake up.
Did you at all were surprised when all these news and all the reports came out? I have to imagine there was a lot of surprise in this locker room.
Definitely.
Because a lot of things that I hear from the Miami Dolphins locker room, it's a close unit. A lot of guys are good friends on that team.
A lot of guys are good friends on that team, and those two are good friends, prior to the situation. So that's the part that kind of threw me off. In my little time there, they were friends. It wasn't like they were, had an issue. So I didn't understand it, and then all of a sudden, these text messages and things like that come out. But it's like you have to show your side of the text message as well, because you're saying something back. All you're saying is what Richie put.
Final one on the situation, because I know you get pounded with these questions day in and day out. When you see Jonathan Martin and Richie Incognito, can you see either of them playing in the NFL again?
Yeah, I just feel like it kind of tarnished Richie's name a little bit just because of how the story came out, and it was kind of all on him at first, but then you start hearing his side later on. But people kind of already form their opinions, when they hear the first side, whatever side they hear first. But, I mean, as a player, I definitely think he can, and then it just depends on how an organization looks at this situation. Some organizations may look at it as, Jonathan Martin might have, just blew the story up and they don't think Richie was in the wrong and might take a chance on him. So with Jonathan Martin, I heard he wants to come back, and then you got to just have an organization who, want to take a chance, bring him in there, and the guys have to feel comfortable with somebody like that because they don't want to take a chance of this happening again.
For next year, you're a free agent. Where are you looking at? What are some places that maybe you sit there and say, hey, I could see myself possibly playing there? What do you look at as a free agent when you're signing a deal?
I can actually see myself back in Miami because I just feel like I didn't get the amount of time that I really wanted, with the team and in the offensive line and my offensive line coach. But, I mean, there's other teams. I would just have to look to see who would need help at my position. But I definitely plan on playing for like another 2 years, or maybe 3. I'm trying to do Matt Burke numbers.
Did you Did you enjoy your time, though, with Joe Philbin? What kind of coach is Joe Philbin?
Oh, yeah, I did. I enjoyed my time. He reminds me of my college coach, my senior coach, Coker, a little bit. He looks like him a little bit. But, I mean, I had a good time with him and my offensive line coach, Coach Turner. It was a great time. He kind of made you feel like, I felt like I was in college again just because some of the meetings, he reminded me of O-line coach, and it made you, kind of excited to come to work because it just was a lot of energy in there.
Jeff Ireland is out. What was your relationship like with Jeff Ireland?
Well, Jeff brought me here, so, I always thought he was cool. Yeah, pretty good, cool guy. He was somebody you can go up to and speak to, wasn't standoffish or anything, so I thought he was a pretty cool guy.
We're talking to Bryant McKinnie, Super Bowl champion last year, actually wearing his ring right now. And that thing is bright. They did a good job in Baltimore.
Yeah, they did. They wanted to have like a real big, just nice classic ring. It is, yeah.
Well, let's talk about that run last year. Ray Lewis, a lot of that was made of the whole situation with him retiring his last ride. Ed Reed gets his first Super Bowl win. That seemed like a fun team to play for last year with a lot of personalities.
It definitely was, and both of those guys are from the U, and that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
So it was good to finally team up with Ray Lewis, and then me and Ed Reed won a championship in college, so it was great to be, part of that with him as well on on the next level. But that run at the end was definitely just a good run because, we lost the last 4 out of 5 games, and just when it hit the playoffs, everything just kind of clicked and everybody was just on all cylinders, and Joe was just playing fantastic. So, I mean, everything just kind of fell into place, and Denver was actually the game where we were like, we can make it past this game. I think we should win the Super Bowl. Like, you know what I mean? Because New England, we had lost to them the year before, and in the same AFC championship game, so we were just like, there's no way we can go there and just keep losing, you know what I mean? So the whole mindset was just different going back there the second time. So Yeah.
Well, we're on here in Philadelphia, and we're all big Temple University fans. I went to Temple.
Bernard Pierce.
Bernard Pierce.
Yeah.
Everyone loves BP, but also Al Golden, who now is the coach of the U, didn't leave for Penn State. Were you happy to see Al Golden not go to Penn State?
I was, and we were. I did an interview in Miami about that because they were like, "Well, the job's open. He might go. He went to school there." And I was like, "Dad, he's doing such a good job, like turning our school around. That would be a shame to see him go, and then they have to find a whole nother coach, and then." Recruit all these other, new kids that might mess up the whole chemistry that he was building. But I'm glad that he stayed and he, stayed committed to what he's trying to build.
Well, you're an offensive lineman, but the defense for the U doesn't seem to have that same intensity and swagger that it once did. What needs to change on the defense at Miami?
Maybe Ray Lewis should go there and start giving speeches before the games to help them with, recruiting and stuff. I feel like he should be a GM or something like that, in the future. But I don't know. They just need to have that hunger and that swag. Like when I was there, it was just like a whole attitude, and we always felt like, honestly, we all felt like we were the best at our position. So our practices were so like intense that if we seen in the game that somebody else was giving you a hard time, you're like, how are he giving you a hard time? And we're the best. So even my senior year, when those magazines came out, where a position group like our O-line was #1, the DBs were the #1. I think the linebackers or something were like number 3 or 4. Like everybody was in the top 5. And if you were #1, you got to get your picture taken in the book. So our goal was to have everybody. We wanted the book, basically the magazine, sports magazine, filled with our team. But we couldn't. But we would just kind of make fun of everybody else who didn't have their picture in the book, though. But that's how competitive we were because we went so hard to practice. We felt like nobody else should give us a hard time.
Well, I'm sure you know a mutual friend of the program, Kadri Ismail, with the Baltimore Ravens. And he said, we were talking last year during the playoff run, and I said, what is it like to sit there for a Ray Lewis speech? And he said, if you're a rookie, you're getting up, running out, and you're ready for battle on the field. But if you're a veteran, you say, hey, this is Ray being Ray.
Yeah.
So you play with Ray. That speech goes on. What's going through your head in the locker room?
When I first got there, it was my first time, really hearing the speeches. So it definitely does motivate you. And he doesn't do it every week. He does it when it's needed to be done. And sometimes he'll just do it, here and there. But he definitely does it when it's needed to be done. And it just motivates you to go out there and just play like at a high level.
What's going through your mind when you're playing in the Super Bowl last year and all of a sudden the lights just go black? Ray Lewis thought it was a conspiracy theory, possibly. Do you think Goodell was pulling the plug a little bit?
Somebody said, hit the switch. Because the game was kind of getting away a little bit. We were in a rhythm. Everything was rolling for us, so it was kind of getting away. Jacoby had just ran back a kickoff or something like that. So you had the halftime show. They tried to blame it on Beyonce. You had the halftime show.
Well, there was a lot of lights going on in that show. I know you were in the locker room.
It was.
But,
so that's like 30 minutes, then another 30 minutes of waiting for the lights to come back on, like a whole hour before the offense ever got back on the field. But yeah, it did kind of mess up our little chemistry that we had going for a minute because it slowed everybody down and cooled us off as offense because we never stepped on the field.
And your coach, John Harbaugh, was going up against his brother Jim in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was like the Venus and Serena of football.
They played that down a lot to the media. They did the joint press conferences, but he had to be a little extra on
Oh, no, he did. I mean, I already knew the year before we played his brother on Thanksgiving, so it was already like, I just went out beat him, so. Definitely now you're in the Super Bowl, you definitely want to be the one who is like, I won. Like, you know what I mean? So he definitely accomplished that.
We're talking to Bryant McKinnie on Radio Row, Super Bowl 48 between the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. Let's get into the game a little bit. The #1 way to beat Peyton Manning is to keep him off the field.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch, he is an excellent running back. They call him beast mode. Do you believe they could set up that run on Sunday, especially since Denver defense is really starting to turn things around?
It definitely relies on Denver's defense because that's a lot of people's game plan. People like him, Tom Brady, you want to keep them off the field and give them the least amount of opportunity as possible. And you have to take advantage of your opportunity when it's given to you. So you need to score. When you're on the so. I don't know. I just feel like I keep telling people I see towards the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth, that Peyton's going to find a way to pick and capitalize, off of their defense and stuff. I see. Seattle as a younger team, so they're initially going to come out hype and energized, but then as the game goes on, it's going to kind of, wear down a little bit, and I feel like that's why in that midway through the third quarter, you're going to start seeing the momentum change.
Peyton Manning's a genius. He's one of the best to ever do it, and you know how tough it is to play up against him, even though you were on the offensive line. what are the defenders like in a locker room the week of playing Peyton Manning? Because they have to be on point, because one little mistake and he'll take advantage of it.
You do. So everybody, they try to study, the things, his tendencies, and of course they always look at who his go-to players are and things like that. So you have to kind of throw things at him that he doesn't see, and that's what people try to do the first half, but you got to have a little backup stuff too for the second half, because he's going to adjust, at halftime. So you got to have just a good game plan for him.
Let's get to Richard Sherman. He talks all he wants, but he backs it up on the football field. And I played football in middle school and high school, and the most annoying thing was when you had that little corner, because I'm a big guy just like yourself, and when you had that little corner who's like 180 pounds, comes up, yap in his mouth, and you push him, and then the next thing you know, he's flopping out of the way, and you get flagged for that 15-yard penalty. So when you go up against a trash talker, what's that like?
Yeah, and somebody little like him is like you can't really get a chance.
You want to just smack him.
Yeah, you don't really get too many chances to go at them. So, but when you do, you try to just make sure you just shut him up. Like, you know what I mean? But he's definitely one of those guys. But he kind of makes it entertaining for people, because I've seen his interview all over Instagram right after it happened. Had him as like a WWF character and everything.
Right.
So, I mean, it was entertaining to some people. So, which is, fun. It wasn't, too bad. So.
We're talking to Bryant McKinnie on Radio Row. A few more questions right before we let you run, and we'll get to your charity in just a bit. And Richard Sherman, he's an excellent cornerback. They have a great secondary in Seattle. How do they match up against the rest of the league? Because they have something special probably trying to do on Sunday.
They do, and they felt like they should have been in the Super Bowl last year as well, just like Denver did. So those is going to be a good match, because it's two teams that are hungry for a Super Bowl who both felt like they should have been there the year before.
Now, from an offensive lineman standpoint, Russell Wilson's more of a mobile quarterback, and we're seeing pocket passing quarterbacks still in the game. Brady Manning still getting to championship games in the AFC. And the NFC, you saw a different breed, and you have Johnny Manziel coming out of college into the NFL draft. How difficult is that for an offensive lineman? Because you got to move and extend the play a little bit more when your quarterback could be mobile, throw the ball, and also run the ball.
Well, actually, sometimes when you have a mobile quarterback, he can extend the play longer, because he knows how to dodge some of the defenders who might be coming to get a sack or something like that. So it can be good, and sometimes it can be bad. Like somebody like me, I like to know where the quarterback is, because sometimes the mobile quarterback can run into your defender as well. So it works in a way, it can work against you.
Well, let's get to your charity and some events that you have happening on here. Tell me a little bit more about it.
On March 16th in Miami, I have a charity. My AAU team plays against some celebrities and other athletes.
Are you a coach?
Yeah, I'm a coach. So they play at the American Airlines Arena in Miami at 7:30 on March 16th. Today, if anybody wants to tune in to 106 in Park, we just did a skit where it's like Jacoby Jones, he was one of the judges, LaShawn McCoy, and like two other guys who were professional dancers for Beyonce. They were judging, and you had 3 offensive linemen, and they said we never get a chance to touch the ball. What up? How you doing? How you doing? Jamil McClain, everybody.
What's up?
How you doing? You want to interview him?
Okay, but we did on BT where they said the offensive line never gets a chance to do an end zone dance. So you had the football, you had to do an end zone dance, and then they judged to see who won. So
Do you got some moves? Big man got some moves?
yeah, you'll see who won. They gave a trophy out and everything, so they got to tune in and see who won.
What do you like as a coach? I would have to imagine that you're yapping and you're really teaching the game from a brilliant standpoint.
As a coach, I just like I don't know. I just like to see the kids that are actually hungry and really want to, like win and are very competitive. Those are the ones who excite me.
Would you want to coach maybe the NFL after your playing
I
days?
always said I will coach, but I would like to be the assistant coach, because I would rather like to coach technique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
Position
I'm good
coach.
at but you have a position coach, and then he has the assistant coach too to the position coach. So I wouldn't want to be the O-line coach where you teach the scheme. I would just teach the technique. So you have the one person who tells you the scheme and this, that, and the other, but I would be the one who shows you how to actually pass protect, the steps to take, or run block, what you should do, because I've done it long enough, and I kind of figured it out.
Well, your friend just interrupted us here on
Jamil
Radio
McClain.
Row. Yes, and I'm pretty sure you've been to Radio Row. Didn't you go to Radio Row last year?
I actually
during
did during the Super Bowl.
How do you like Radio Row?
Radio Row's cool. There's a lot of different press here, so you get a chance to talk to a lot of different people from all over.
Yeah, and I could see maybe being a media member as well after your playing days. I know that's a
Possibly.
little bit interesting to
It is.
foresee.
I've been thinking about it lately, but before I didn't used to think about it, but I've been thinking about it as of late, and actually I'm starting to do a show in Miami called Sports Bank, so That's on CBS in Miami, and it comes on like Saturday morning, so I'm about to start doing that now.
Well, we appreciate a few minutes. Best of luck next year wherever you wind up.
Thank
and
you
let's
very
talk to you
much.
again real soon.
Okay.